First, the power losses in a transformer we can classify into two, the core loss and the copper loss. See, as the name implies, core loss. Here, core loss or iron loss. Core loss means the losses occurring in core. And iron loss. Why it is calling as iron loss means in olden days, the material we used for the core is iron, soft iron or cast iron. So we are calling in olden days as iron loss also. So the name as either core loss or iron loss. Same way, we have one more loss, the major loss, copper loss or ohmic loss. So copper loss is the loss occur in the copper. Copper is the material that is we are using in the winding. So the losses happening in the winding we named as copper loss or ohmic loss. Ohmic means ohm is the unit of resistance. So this loss is happening due to the resistance of the winding. So also we called it as ohmic loss. So we have two types of losses. Generally I call it as core loss or copper loss. So the core loss is nothing but it's happening in the core. The copper loss is happening in the winding. Right. So here I'll just tell about what is core loss and what is copper loss. So as name implies, the core loss is happening in the core and the material of the core is we are using olden days soft iron, cast iron. Nowadays we are using with silicon steel. Right. The core loss is mainly divided into two: hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. I mentioned here. So first loss under the core loss is hysteresis loss, and second one is eddy current loss. I will explain this. What is this? So here one more thing, this hysteresis loss and eddy current loss, that is core loss. This core loss is happening because of the flux present inside the core. What is the purpose of the core? Core is the one who carries the flux from primary winding to secondary winding, right? So due to that flux, that flux makes some kind of losses. The flux is produced by the current. The current is given by the input voltage. So here the losses, the core losses mainly depends on the input voltage. Input voltage is always constant. So this core loss is mainly depends on the input voltage. The input voltage we are applying is always constant. So the core loss also called as constant loss. So here under this losses, any power losses in a transformer, always the core loss is constant loss. Right. And the same way when we discussed about copper loss is due to the resistance of this uh, winding resistance will make the loss. So how it's happening means the resistance always oppose the current, right? So it is the copper loss is happening in the winding carries a current and winding has a resistance. That winding resistance will oppose the input current, right? So winding resistance is decided by the manufacturer. So winding resistance I'm assuming as constant, but the current through the winding, that is purely always in a circuit. This current always will be depends on not from the input voltage. It also depends on so current in a circuit always depends on the load, right? Here input voltage is constant, so current may depends on the load. If the load varies, I mean load increases means current also increases. So current is a variable quantity. The current is the one who oppose, I mean resistance is the one who oppose the current. If current is more means resistance will try to oppose more. So the power loss will be more, right? So we are calling the copper loss as variable loss, right? So I hope you understood why it is calling as variable loss. Variable loss means it depends on the current. Current depends on the load. So load is variable. Load may be 0 or maybe maximum. So load is variable. So current is variable. So that loss will be variable. So we can divide these losses again into in terms of constant and variable. So the constant loss are nothing but core loss. Core loss are two types: hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. Right. And the variable loss is copper loss. Why? Copper loss means, I mean, variable means it is depends on the current. Current is a variable quantity, right? So here, second one, yeah. Next one is hysteresis. I mean, under core, we'll discuss about core loss in detail. So here the hysteresis loss. I'll tell you here. It's written as alternative magnetizing force. I will tell you what it is. Very simple way. I will take one this structure. I'm taking a core type structure. I'm giving one input supply. I'm giving one input supply. The nature of the input supply is an AC and an alternating one, and we are applying through the primary winding. So this primary winding carrying a current, that will be the nature of alternating, because input voltage is alternating, so the current also an alternating one. This current will produce the flux. The flux will pass from the primary winding to secondary winding. So the current nature is alternating, so the flux nature also will be an alternating. Means alternating means it has two direction, voltage has two direction, and current has two direction, and same the flux has two direction. Right. So the flux is keep on changing from positive direction to negative, or negative to positive. Right. So the flux is keep on changing. Right. First the flux will go in one direction. Next the flux will go in another direction. See, first what is happening here in hysteresis laws. So it's mentioned here, it is an alternating magnetic force. So the magnetizing force is an alternating one. First, see, suppose inside a transformer core, suppose you take a bar magnet. The bar magnet having a magnetic field. The magnetic field is produced by the magnetic properties, things. What are the things exhibiting that that particles that making that field? Right. So I'm assuming there are a number of magnetic domains. We call it as the particles as magnetic domains. The magnetic domains are present in a bar magnet. Right. Here the same case, we need a magnetic field. The magnetic fields are produced by the magnetic domains. See, we're applying a magnetizing force, then we are aligning. See, the magnetizing force has two directions, positive and negative. First, in the positive direction, it will align in one direction, and second time it will align in opposite direction. So there will be first in one direction, second time it in opposite direction. Right. That time it will consume some, it will lose some kind of energy. I'll tell you best example here. In a room, suppose you people are in a room, and you people are the magnetic domains. Magnetic domains means you people are the one who creates the magnetic field. Right. Suppose a force is applying from the output side. Right. The force has two direction. Two direction. One is positive and one is negative. Right. First, the force is telling you people align in a line. Right. So you people will align in one line, in one direction. Right. Second time, the force will change its direction in opposite direction. Right. That time, that line will be in the opposite direction. So this is happening in very fraction of seconds. So first in one direction, second one in opposite direction. Right. So the direction change will lose some kind of energy. Right. That kind of losses, because of the alternative nature of the force, magnetizing force, it happens. It will lose some kind of energy. That kind of loss, power loss, we call it as hysteresis loss. Getting. So whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux direction, there will be some loss of energy. That kind of power loss, we call it as hysteresis loss. Right, I hope you understood. So it's mentioned as power dissipated in the form of heat during the cycle of magnetization and demagnetization of the core. Means first it will go in one direction, that time it will be in the magnetization form. Next time in another direction means it will be in demagnetization. Why? Because this flux is in the nature of an AC, an alternating one. And why it is alternating one means the current is an alternating one, and same time the input voltage also an alternating one. So it has two direction. So one time it will be magnetized, second time it will be demagnetized. Right. So that kind of form of heat or the power loss, we call it as hysteresis loss. Right. Same way, hysteresis loss, we have some mathematical formula for hysteresis loss. Here, the standard formula, you just keep in mind. This will not ask any problems on this, but just keep in mind this is the standard formula for hysteresis loss. So that is hysteresis loss is equal to KH. KH is a constant. We call it as hysteresis coefficient, and is equal to BM. BM is the flux density. BM. M is maximum flux density raised to 1.67. This 1.67 is constant for, that depends on the material, right? This 1.67 is for silicon steel. If you are using silicon steel as the your core material, then this will be always 1.67. So this constant depends on the material we are using. So Bm raised to 1.67, F is input frequency, the input frequency of the voltage or the current, and V is the volume of the core. Right. So this is the formula we are using for finding the hysteresis loss, and of course it's a power loss. So we mentioned the unit will be in watts. Right. So the hysteresis loss is equal to KH, hysteresis coefficient, that's a constant, into Bm, maximum flux density raised to 1.67 into supply frequency into V, volume of the core in terms of watts. Right. So you just keep in mind, no need to work on this much on this, but if they're asking for what is hysteresis loss, what is the mathematical formula, you can write the same equation. Right. So here we are using for hysteresis loss, we are using, I mean, no, it's a kind of losses, but I mean, the loss amount of heat will be very less because we have some protection systems, right? So the same way we can explain for the next loss, eddy current loss. Eddy current is nothing but, I hope you heard about eddy current. Eddy current is nothing but that circulating current inside the core. The current inside the core, right? Core should be, I told you many times, core is nothing but it should be highly permeable. Permeable means it should allow the flux. At the same time, it should be a bad conductor or a poor conductor. Right. Even though I'm telling theoretically it's poor conductor, you can't make a 100% poor conductor. Right. So there will be some kind of current. Means here, suppose yeah, here I'm applying some kind of input here, and current is passing through the winding. The flux is producing here, right? And the primary winding and secondary winding are connected through the core. I'm assuming the core is a poor conductor. There is no direct electrical contact from the primary to secondary. But even though the core will have some kind of current, because the core is, we are trying to reduce that this one, like the conduction by making into laminations. See here, sheets, laminations, number of sheets. Each sheets are separated by some kind of insulation. So we're trying to make that one maximum a poor conductor, even though there will be the one sheet. I'm taking one sheet means the one sheet will carry some current, circulating current. The current will be in the circulating form here. Right. So whenever the current is present here, it will oppose the resistance of the core. So it will make a loss. Right. That kind of loss we call as eddy current loss. So eddy current is nothing but circulating current inside the core. So whenever the current is present, there will be a small amount of loss inside the core. That loss we call it as eddy current loss. So eddy current is nothing but the circulating current inside the core. So even though it's a poor conductor, there will be some current that will produce some loss. So that loss we call it as eddy current loss. Right. And the same way as we express for hysteresis loss, it has uh, it has one equation that describes. So the same way here, it's a constant Ke, it's equal to an into, it's called as coefficient of eddy current into Bm square. Bm is the maximum flux density square, and F is supply frequency square. T here, the T is nothing but the thickness of the laminations. There in eddy, I mean in hysteresis loss, we are bothered about V. V is the volume of the core, because hysteresis loss is purely depends on how much volume it is, the core, right? Here it depends on the thickness of the laminations, because eddy current is because of the thickness of the lamination is more means eddy current will be more, the circulating current will be more. So it depends on the thickness of the laminations, right? And if you're using very thin laminations, eddy current loss can be minimized. Right. So just keep in mind this formula. You're not doing any problems on this, but this is the standard formula for eddy current loss. You just keep in mind. Right. The same way we can express for copper loss. I hope you have already known about copper loss. Copper loss is the loss that due to the resistance of the winding. So it's we'll express this as I squared R. It depends on the mainly two factors, the current and the resistance. So we have two types of windings in a transformer, primary winding and secondary winding. So here PC, it represents the total copper loss. PC represents the total copper loss. So we have taken is 1. 1 represents the primary side, 2 this 2 represents the secondary side. So I1 represents the primary current, I2 represents the secondary current, R1 represents the primary winding resistance and R2 represents the secondary winding resistance. So general formula is I squared R. So this I1 square into R1. This is nothing but the loss, the copper loss in the primary side, and I2 square into R2, the total copper loss in the secondary side. So total loss will be the sum of primary copper loss and secondary copper loss. So I expressed as PC is equal to I1 square R1 plus I2 square into R2. Right. So this loss, copper loss, is primarily depends on the current and the resistance, either in the primary side or in the secondary side. So the current is purely depends on the load. So current, the load may be variable. Load we can decide what kind of load we are applying. So the load is variable means the loss will be variable loss. Right. So the current through the primary winding or secondary winding is zero means the loss will be zero. But even suppose we have an input voltage means there will be some core loss. So that is the explanation for copper loss and here core loss. So just keep in mind the core loss is two types: hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. Copper loss is nothing but we have the losses occurring in the primary winding and secondary winding. The sum of the loss in the primary winding and secondary winding. Right. I hope you got it. So just to go through it, if you have any doubt, you can ask. So here, after this, we need to focus on this EMF equation of a transformer. It's very simple. So we have seen the EMF equation of other machines, DC generators especially. So EMF equation means that the equation that relates the output voltage with the some parameters inside the transformer. So here I mentioned the induced EMF in the primary winding or the induced EMF in the secondary winding. Why I am talking about induced EMF in the primary winding means, see how the induced EMF happened here. See here, there will be an alternating voltage applying and alternating current. This will produce an alternating flux. So alternating flux means it has two direction. So the flux is keep on changing. So this flux, the dotted lines, this is flux, this denotes the flux. So the flux will keep on changing. Here we have a winding. Winding is nothing but a conductor. So the fluxes keep on changing means there will be an induced EMF according to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Right. So we are applying a voltage, an alternating voltage, and we are applying an alternating current. This will produce its own EMF in the primary winding. That EMF we call it as self-induced EMF. Self-induced EMF. Right. So there will be a self-induced EMF in the primary winding. And of course, we know there will be a flux linkage in the secondary winding. That EMF we already denoted as mutual induced EMF. And the process is mutual induction. That's the working principle of a transformer. So in the primary side, we have a self-induced EMF. And in the secondary side, we have a mutual induced EMF. So we have two EMF, self-induced EMF in the primary winding and mutual induced EMF in the secondary winding. Self-induced EMF will denote as E1, then a letter called as E1, and mutual induced EMF will denote as E2. Right, that's what the expression here, E1 and E2. Right, so E1 is equal to 4.44 phi m F into N1. It has the derivation, but you don't need any derivation. You just keep in mind the formula. This formula we call it as EMF equation of a transformer. So E1, it is especially in the primary winding, primary side. So E1 is equal to 4.44. This constant phi m. I hope you know what is phi m. Maximum flux density, flux in the core, and it's expressed in Weber's. That is always equal to B max into A, where B max is maximum flux density into area of the core. Right. So maximum flux density we express in terms of the unit of maximum flux density is Tesla Weber per meter square, and the area will be in meter square. Right. And F is the supply frequency of the input current. Right. And here I mentioned as N1. N1. 1 represents the primary side because we are talking about the primary side. So E1, here it is E1 means here it will be N1. N1 is the number of turns in the primary side, primary winding. And same way we can express an expression for E2, induced EMF in the secondary winding. So E2 is equal to 4.44 phi m into F into N2. Here only the change is instead of N1 we are used here N2 because we are talking about E2. Right. So E1 have a separate, primary side has a separate equation and secondary side has a separate equation. So we can generally write as E is equal to 4.44 phi m F into N. It may be in the primary side or in the secondary side. So I'm just analyzing these two equations. I'm just dividing E2 by second by first one, right? So you will get E2 by E1. All the things are constant. So N2 by N1. E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1. So this formula, when we take the divide, when we divide E2 second formula by first formula, you will get E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1. This thing N2 by N1, we call it as a term called as transformation ratio, right? Second one is transformation ratio. So transformation ratio will express by a letter called K. We are using K. So K is equal to E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1 is equal to V2 by V1. So this is we are using for analysis purpose. So just keep in mind K is a constant that is equal to E2 by E1 or is equal to N2 by N1 or is equal to V2 by V1. How we are getting this from the EMF equation. So by just dividing these two, you will get a new ratio. It's called as transformation ratio, that is denoting by a letter called K. So small k, we use small k. So K is equal to E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1 is equal to V2 by V1. And the same way, you're taking opposite N1 by N2. Instead of second by first, I'm dividing first by second. In that case, it will be E1 by E2 is equal to N1 by N2. That time, the ratio I'll call it as turns ratio. Just I'm taking the turns ratio N1 by N2. This is represented by a letter called as small a. Small a. So small a turns ratio is equal to N1 by N2. And turns ratio and transformation ratio are opposite in nature. Both are reciprocal. That's it. Right. These are the some terms, some standard terms we are using for the analysis of a transformer. That's it. Right. And in case, see here I written as N2 is greater than N1. Means here to take this equation, N2 is greater than N1. That time V2 will be more than V1, obviously. N2 by N1 is equal to V2 by V1, right? So if N2 is the number of turns in the primary, secondary side, and N1 is the number of turns in the primary side. If number of turns in the secondary side is more compared to number of turns in the primary side, that time V2, the voltage in the secondary side will be more. That kind of transformer we call it as step up transformer. Step up. Step up means we are increasing the voltage. Right. If you want to increase the voltage, we need to increase the number of turns. So number of turns in the secondary is more. Right. That kind of transformer we call it as step up transformer. Right. If it is opposite, if the number of turns in the secondary side is less, we call it as step down transformer. Step down transformer, the number of turns in the secondary side will be less. So the number of, the voltage in the secondary side will be less. Right. That kind of transformer we call it as step down transformer. So according to the function of transformer, we can divide into two, step up and step down. In a step up transformer, N2 will be greater than N1. In a step down transformer, N2 will be less than N1. According to the shape of the core, we can divide the transformer into two, core type and shell type. Right. Here, according to the function of transformer. Right. Function of transformer, it can increase or decrease the voltage level or current level. Right. So we can divide the transformer into two according to the function of the transformer as step up and step down, right? And the same way we can tell about this, about the current relation, how the currents are related. How the currents are related means, here we are assuming that we are applying an input power to input power here and we are getting an output power, right? So simply I'm assuming input power is equal to output power. That's it. Don't be confused here. I'll tell you very easy. So I'm assuming the input power is equal to output power, but practically it never be input power is equal to output power because it has some losses in between. I'm neglecting all the losses. So input power is equal to output power. So I can write the power equation is generally V into I. I'm taking V1 I1 is primary side and V2 I2 is secondary side. So V into I is the power. So V1 I1 is equal to V2 I2. So I'm taking both sides. The voltage in one side, current in one side means you will get V2 by V1 is equal to I1 by I2 from here, from this equation. Right. So I'm correlating this equation with the transformation ratio. So transformation ratio is E2 by E1 is equal to N2 by N1 is equal to V2 by V1, but V2 by V1 is here I1 by I2. That is equal to transformation ratio K. So the current relation is opposite. So you can see here Here in a step-up transformer, suppose I'm using a step-up transformer, the number of turns in the secondary is more and then voltage in the secondary is more, but current in the secondary is less. Right? Step-up transformer, the current it will reduce. But in step-down transformer, the voltage it will reduce, but the current will increase because the voltage and current are in opposite nature. Because V2 by V1 is equal to I1 by I2. That's the only thing you must remember. The current will always will be in the opposite here in case of a transformer. Right. So just keep in mind what is turns ratio and what is transformation ratio. Turns ratio is we denoting by a letter called A, small a. So A is equal to N1 by N2, and transformation ratio is denoting by a letter called K, small k. K is equal to N2 by N1 and is equal to V2 by V1 is equal to E2 by E1 is equal to I1 by I2. Right. So we have another types of transformer, step-up transformer and step-down transformer according to the function of the transformer. Clear, and we'll see the application next class. I hope you understood about EMF equation, the losses in a transformer, and what are the notations or standard parameters we're utilizing for a transformer. Right, so that's all about today's class. So if you have any doubt, you can ask. Yeah, that's all about today's class. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Yeah, no doubt means you can leave. You can go for next class. And I hope you got message. I'm planning to conduct one quiz by this week. You be prepared for DC machine. I will announce the time and date later. So I just announced you just prepare for that quiz. Yeah, you can leave if you have if you don't have any doubt means you can leave. No issue.